Today on Locked On Rockies, we got to look at the lineup, well, pretty close to what is projected to be the opening day lineup yesterday. Plus, there's a flamethrower looming in the bullpen.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 27th day of February in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day is talk Rockies baseball here on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can let me know what's on your mind. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes and more. The best way to help the show, the best way to support the show is by liking the videos, subscribing to Locked On Rockies on YouTube. Let me know what's on your mind when it comes to your thoughts. What are you thinking? How are you feeling about the Rockies right now? Derek Giles says young guys doing good, pitching also after yesterday's pod where we were overreacting to the first weekend of spring training. And like I said, it was an overreaction, but I just can't help but feel better right now. And I just need to overemphasize, I think, this with, I know what the Rockies are. I know where they stand. I know that they aren't going to dominate the league. I'm just simply saying I feel more confident in the team's direction, the structure, the foundation of the team during this season. As man, I did a terrible job of buttoning up this jersey this morning, but I'm just more confident. There just seems to be stuff that makes more sense this year. And we're going to keep talking about that. But I saw a couple of pieces here highlighting a big time reliever here for the Rockies in the name of Jaden Hill. So we're going to talk about Jaden Hill, going to talk a little bit about Kris Bryant, and we're going to talk a little bit about right field as well when it comes to the veteran players. Because what did we see yesterday? Charlie Blackmon did play right field. Obviously, spring training, not that much, but it was in a lineup that was pretty much what we assumed to be the starting lineup for the Rockies, minus that Elias Diaz was DHing, and then there was a prospect catcher back there. So there's something it's just remember that door is still open. We're going to dive into all of that and more here on today's episode. Before we do, though, got to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers, join today. You'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. And let's get started here talking about Jaden Hill here. And we are going to read a little bit, but man, this is the exact type of stuff. This is something that you want out of the bullpen, especially for the Rockies here. And we're going to read a little bit from Rock's Pile, and we're going to read a little bit from Thomas Harding over there on MLB.com. But here's what friend of the show, Tanner Vogt, has to say about Jaden Hill. It looks like second-round pick Jaden Hill has made his move to the bullpen, and his stuff looks insane. We've seen an upper 90s fastball that will certainly touch triple digits later in the year, along with a devastating changeup and a solid slider. Hill could be making his case to make the opening day roster as a reliever, given how dominant his stuff looked. He threw one inning against the Diamondbacks, striking out two batters without walking anyone in an impressive outing, and he might make his way onto Tanner's next roster projection here. And just a little bit more about Hill here from Thomas Harding, relief prospect. Hill brings the heat in spring debut. The Rockies drafted Hill in the second round in 2021 out of LSU. Even though he had Tommy John surgery on his right elbow last year in his first pro season with High A Spokane, there were hot fastballs and hot stretches, but there was also shoulder soreness and struggles. Hill, 24, began a transition to the bullpen during the Arizona Fall League, where he posted a 3.18 ERA and struck out 13 in 11 in the third inning. During Saturday's 6-2 loss to the D-backs, Hill pitched a clean seventh with 2 strikeouts. His 99.2 mile per hour sinker blew past JJ D'Orazio on his first K. He didn't have a fastball slower than a 98.4 miles per hour, and he mixed in a low to mid 80s changeup. I love those numbers. I love that difference in speed. I love that velocity mix up there. 3-pitch mix, and 2 of them are going to drastically change the speed. The slider, I know, is a different story, but if you can throw 100 and then in the same pitch sequence, you might throw a changeup that is in the mid 80s. That's foolish. I mean, that is, I'm not foolish in the sense of like you shouldn't do that. That's foolish as if that's crazy. It's going to throw off the timing. It's going to throw off the consistency. And it's something that that the Rockies need. Take a lead into late in the game and then bring out the guys that make it just hard to hit the ball in general. And if you're going to be throwing nearly 100-mile-an-hour smoke on your fastball and then being able to mix up speeds and bring that changeup in to drastically, cut 20 miles per hour off the velocity there, or a little less, I know, 15 miles per hour off. I mean, that is going to really mess with the timing of the batters, especially as they're going to be later in the games and more aggressive if the Rockies are, in a lead or maintaining, a lead or something like that. I just love that there's confidence in this. I like this shift to the bullpen. He's sounding like he's getting his confidence there. Here's what Hill has told Thomas Harding here in the past. This plays well to my velocity, Hill said after pushing 100 miles per hour in a live batting practice earlier in camp. As a reliever, I don't have to hold back as much. That's going to make me effective. I can pitch up in the zone more. I've added the slider, and I'm going to use that more. The changeup, I'll use it as I need it. It'll probably help. Let's see here. Bud Black had this to say about him. It'll probably help to a quicker ascent to potentially the big leagues. And I think he's going to take it, Rockies manager Bud Black said. We'll check as we go on the resilience as we go through the season, the ability to bounce back as a reliever. The stuff is solid. It's a really good velocity fastball and a good feel for secondary pitches. That perfect mentality. I really do think that is the right mentality to have with a guy like this. And as long if you have someone in this arsenal, if he's proven that he can that he's ready to handle the major league game, then let's go for it. Let's ride. But here is a reminder: 0-9, 9.48 ERA in Spokane yesterday, or not yesterday, in last season. But again, as a starter, that's different. This is now the reliever mindset. I like that he's talking about how him being a reliever allows him to unload a little bit more, how he's able to be a little bit more, use more pitches, dip into that arsenal a little bit more. I think that is really always a fascinating thing too, and something that I don't know if we've talked about a lot, but would love to hear more about. Man, the approach to being a starter versus a reliever, it's got to be really like night and day, honestly. I mean, comparing 6 innings is what you're hoping for from a starter versus a reliever who might only go an inning, might only go a couple of batters. That mental game, that mental battle, the ability to set your mind right and be a great relief pitcher, I think is a really tough mental task. So I think that Black's got a point here. Bud Black's got a point here to bring him up and see how he handles resiliency. This season is a great season to see how the young guys are going to handle the tough stretches. The young guys are going to handle the ups and downs of a season. This is an opportunity for these young guys also to show off a little bit, to show off their growth and to show off who they are. I mean, there's just so many. Jaden Hill is just one of multiple players on this Rockies team that has stuff, that has abilities, that has skills. Now it's time to show them off and show them off consistently, because consistency is the key to the Colorado Rockies. All right, let's talk a little bit about Kris Bryant. Let's talk a little bit about that swing yesterday. I mean, it ain't much, but again, it's a reminder that healthy Kris Bryant will change the game for the Rockies. And just It's the fact of the mind. It reminds us that he's not. It's not all over right yet for Kris Bryant, the 32-year-old. When we see swings like yesterday, and then especially an 8-pitch at bat like that, there's definitely a lot to be excited about. And we'll talk about that coming up here in segment number 2. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about some of the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. Let me know what's on your mind, firing off your Rockies hot takes. And what's your thoughts so far in spring? Where are you at as a Rockies fan? How are you feeling? Are you excited by some of these young guys? Are you disappointed by the amount of runs they gave up to the Dodgers yesterday? Tell me what's on your mind. Also, before we move on, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Hey, coming up as well here, I can't remember exactly when it is, but we just recorded our NL West preview yesterday. That's going to be hitting the feeds. That's going to be coming up here as we get closer to the season. So be on the lookout for that really fun episode, as it always is. I love the NL West hosts, man. It is just a ton of fun because there's just so much beef, friendly beef between all of them, of course, with Jeff Snyder being the ultimate evil emperor there, host of Locked On Dodgers. It was just really fun to see how many people were taking shots and and how I was able to defend our beloved Rockies here as well. So be on the lookout for that. It'll hit the feeds. Best way to know when stuff posts to Locked On Rockies is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can hit that little bell for notifications as well. Hey, Kris Bryant hit a home run yesterday and looked comfortable at the dish. Looked like that there was a nice solid swing there. Looked like he was, being healthy. Looked like hopefully that we can see that continue. And we've heard a lot about Kris Bryant's mentality throughout this part of his career, this season, and all that good stuff. But we have not really understood the biggest question still will remain: what type of impact can Kris Bryant have overall? If Kris Bryant plays a full season of games, is that going to help the Rockies? Is it going to block the prospects? I mean, the best way to really know the answer to this conversation is to go through it and experience it. Right now, here on Baseball Reference's projections for Kris Bryant here for 2024, they are expecting him to get 386 plate appearances here, and with 18 doubles, 13 home runs, 42 RBI, some stolen bases, a batting average of 257, an OBP of 337, slugging of 430, and OPS of 767. So not that great. I know it's projections, and I know it's probably really interesting to have to do projections for someone like Kris Bryant. 386 at-bats would be 86 more at-bats than he had last year, and just would be seeing slight increases across the board in things. The Rockies are the Rockies missing Kris Bryant are missing this when he's not there. And you saw this in that home run yesterday. An 8-pitch at bat that leads to a home run. Kris Bryant's a professional hitter. Kris Bryant has been a great offensive threat throughout his career. 276 batting average, 371 OBP, 492 slugging, OPS of 863, and an OPS plus of 127. That's his career. 182 home runs, 532 RBI. This is a guy that knows how to hit. This is a guy that has the ability to get hits. This is a guy that still has that definitely will have that strikeout problem as well. But this is a moment where a former MVP has to get somewhat close to what he's been, because the thing to remember here is you look at that, some of the numbers. I'm kind of going to throw 2022 out since that wasn't even 50 games. But he has batted at least 265 in his full seasons. Last time when he was an all-star in his last half season there with Chicago and with the Giants, 265, 353, 481, 835. That's the Rockies need that line, plain and simple. 25 home runs in that as well. I mean, I'll even take 15, is because this is, again, that's 3 seasons ago and the injuries. But if there's no stage better set for a Kris Bryant just breakthrough than this year. I said it last year. He could be comeback player of the year last year. Sure, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it happens again this year. There's too much talent within Kris Bryant to not sit there and believe that he can produce. But it's the fact of the matter is, if it's another injury-plagued season, the question, the picture just gets murkier and murkier. Because if Kris Bryant succeeds, then the puzzle kind of starts forming a little bit more, especially if Montero starts to break out and Chuck is taking a couple more, an extra day off here and there. You are setting the stage for Kris Bryant and Montero to both be in the lineup and both be contributors with the end of the road for Charlie Blackmon. Now, what are it's so hard to sit here and fully speculate what might or what could or what will happen, just because of the nature of Kris Bryant's Rockies tenure. But when I see the swings like that, and when I see the at-bats like I saw yesterday from KB, and yes, I know the Rockies were losing, and that's fine. But it's a professional at-bat. The Rockies are an ultra-aggressive swinging team. I was listening, I believe, to the Dodgers broadcast because I was watching the game yesterday. It was the only feed available, and it was the Rockies were one of the most aggressive teams on first pitches, a team that is going to go out there and swing on the first pitch, be hyper aggressive. But what the young guys need to learn from Kris Bryant, what the young guys need to learn from Charlie Blackmon, is the effectiveness, the impact of drawing out at bats, going in an 8-pitch bat. Even if you go through an 8-pitch battle and you end up striking out, that's one thing. But there's too many times the Rockies dig themselves in deep holes in counts early because of their ultra aggression. The best thing that Bryant, Blackmon, Diaz can do are be solid, disciplined at the plate. That is what these young guys need to see. That is what's going to help them get better. That is what's going to help these guys find their pitch to hit. The strikeouts will kill the Rockies this year. The Rockies, if they're going to be a team that is, if they are a team that is close to or leading the league in striking out, it's going to be a massive problem. This is where Kris Bryant is supposed to come in and mix things up a little bit. And Kris Bryant himself isn't even the best example. Kris Bryant has tends to strike out. 135 strikeouts in 2021, 145 in 19, 107 in 2018, 128 in 2017, 154 in 2016, and then 199 when he was a rookie there in 2015. But that, he's a different Kris Bryant at this stage. He's a different batter at this stage. Let's see if the projections have him for striking out. 81 strikeouts in that time there, the Baseball Reference is projecting. If he cuts down on the strikeouts, that will be a huge impact for the Rockies. But it's not just KB that's got to cut down on it. It's everybody. But KB's got that veteran leadership. KB has guys watching him. KB has guys studying him. He needs to set the example. And this is spring training coverage right here off of what we saw for the first thing. It was a comfortable, confident swing. And on that home run, it's not like he really got all of it. It's not like he really crushed it. It's kind of more, as I believe Purple Row said, or it was Rocky Mountain Rooftop, I can't remember. It was kind of more of a muscled it out. And earlier in that at bat, too, on a foul ball, he turned on one into left and launched it. It was foul, but just absolute moonshot that he launched as well. So if we get a good Kris Bryant, I'm not saying even great. I'm not saying MVP. Not even saying maybe even all-star. I just want a healthy, good Kris Bryant because I think his approach not only adds depth and length to the lineup, but I think it's going to help these young guys understand a little bit more about what they're looking for at bats, how to go up there and handle their ABs, and how to make the most out of them. And he's not the only one. I think Chuck and KB, this is where, when you're talking about vet experience, those two guys really need to set the stage there as we get closer and closer here to opening day. Let's talk a little bit about right field, and let's look ahead to the game today. And let's just take a look a little bit more as well about what we saw yesterday in yesterday's spring training game there for the Rockies. Let's do all of that and more coming up here in segment number 3. Before we do that, though, go check out all the action at FanDuel and get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you want to bet on the Joker and the Nuggets, maybe you're feeling like betting on the Avs, and maybe you're excited about some Rockies props or futures, well, FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, has you covered across the board. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet at FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. And not only that, on the easy, super easy to use app, can't say it enough, of FanDuel, you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Maybe do a fun prop parlay where you really are rooting for some wacky stuff. But see all the action, see all the lines. Maybe check out, if you're feeling confident in your boys in purple and want to go check that over-under win total there from FanDuel. Check it all out and more at FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Shout outs to our everydayers out there. Really appreciate all of y'all for making us your first listen of the day. Really, really do appreciate that. Hey, we saw Charlie Blackmon play right field yesterday, and Kris Bryant's been mentioned about playing some right field as well. And this is going to be a situation I think we're going to see not a ton this year, but we will see, especially how it shakes out with the right field battle between Tolia Goodman and Bouchard. We'll see how their springs pan out for that, because I really, the biggest thing that people have brought up before, we've seen it. Rockies do love their vets. Bud Black certainly loves their vets. And how are you going to have a healthy Kris Bryant and Charlie Blackmon and not try to get them in the lineup every day? Now, it kind of depends on if these guys are open to taking less days on the field, to both of them. I mean, I think it's going to be something a conversation that both of them have had. Charlie Blackmon even mentioning it a little bit, I think. I can't remember if it was Charlie Blackmon mentioning it or someone mentioning it about Charlie Blackmon. But right field still will primarily be played by the young guys. I really do think that this is going to be the case, and that it's going to be a rotation between Kris Bryant, Charlie Blackmon, and Montero, rotating through the DH, and in the terms of Bryant and Montero playing first base as well. I think Charlie is someone that it's okay if he's going to slide out of the lineup a couple of times for these young guys. Thinking of like Sundays, for example, Sunday day lineups. How much are we really going to see Chuck on those? How are we going to see Chuck on the travel days? There's ways to figure it out, but I do hesitate. I do sit here and I do wonder, and I do get concerned about the Rockies and their ability to make sure that they are giving that consistent playing time to the young guys. And when you just see it in why am I bringing that up and mentioning it just a little bit? Well, we saw Charlie Blackmon play right field yesterday. So he is still, keeping him, practicing and working on that defense there still means the Rockies see him as a right field option, which we know that he's not the primary right fielder, and he knows that. But it's still something in the back of your mind we're going to have to consider this year. But that battle continues. But I think we're going to see more of that rotation between those three guys with the first base thing, because I'm hoping that Monty hits his way into the lineup. So I don't think we're going to see Chuck play a ton of right field, nor do I think we'll see a ton of Kris Bryant. But the Rockies did a bunch of different lineups last year, moved a bunch of people around, and certainly the possibilities could exist where the Rockies are playing these guys in right field, especially as got to get through the spring healthy, and that includes those two guys as well. We got to be watching that throughout this process as well. So we will see how that turns out. Yesterday's game between the Rockies and the Dodgers, Rockies do lose to the Dodgers 9-4. The big concern there, the big issue was two bad innings, the second and the eighth there. Listening in the eighth, there was just lots of loud contact, 5 runs scored in the eighth there, as the Rockies were able to fight back against the Dodgers in this one a couple of times, and actually tying it up there in the seventh before the floodgates were open there in the eighth. Rockies pitching does strike out a lot, Rockies batting does strike out a lot in this one. The Rockies strike out 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times yesterday there against the Dodgers. Again, I understand what time of year it is, but on the flip side, Rockies pitching, though, continuing to get some strikeouts and starting to rack some things up. We talked about Jaden Hill, of course, but let's see. John Curtis had 2 strikeouts. Jeff Criswell had a strikeout. Jaden Hill had 2. Jalen Beeks had 1. Matt Carcetti had 2. Tyler Kinley had 1. Unfortunately, tough going there for Thomas Ponticelli there, who gives up 6 hits, 5 earned there, no strikeouts. Josh Rogers with a couple of strikeouts as well. So really great to see the Rockies pitchers able to get some strikeouts, but the big issue with Rockies pitching continues to creep back in there as well, with 5 walks from Rockies pitching in that one. Kris Bryant, though, had the nice home run in his limited amount of time. Nolan Jones hitless there. Got to keep, Nolan Jones had a cold spring last year. It took him a while to get going, so we're going to have to be watching that and keeping our eyes on Nolan Jones as he works through the spring and into the early part of the season as well. Brendan Rodgers going 1 for 2 on the day. I mean, saw the vets there. Elias Diaz, a nice home run there as well. Really good thump on that. The power certainly still existing with Elias Diaz, and he is still someone that I think is going to have tremendous value for this ball club, for the Rockies. I mean, if you keep playing elite defense, hit the ball out of the yard, just keep being a solid backstop for the Rockies, as well as I just think a big personality guy. I mean, Elias Diaz just is someone that I think has really enjoyed his time in Colorado, has been a good catcher during his time here, and has got that infectious smile, and really looking to make that impact there as well. Looking ahead to today for the Rockies. Rockies are playing the Royals here today. An interesting team there, an interesting matchup. The Royals, obviously a team that has been a stinker in the league for a while, but an active offseason, looking to make sure that they looking to feel more comfortable, more confident in where they're going after spending some money and building up the team around them. A team that might get some comparisons from Rockies fans or people watching these teams as well. So that's where we're at for today. That's what we got, and that's where we're going to end the show, folks. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. You can check us out on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. Let me know what's on your mind here. What are your thoughts on the Rockies bullpen situation? Are you excited about Jaden Hill? Tell me where your head is at when it comes to Rockies baseball. Folks, for your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB, or if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs got you covered. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.